My wife is American. She's from the southwestern US, and of course, Mexican food is huge in that part of the US, particularly. And I don't particularly like Mexican food.
Yeah.
Although she sort of forced me to try it more. I do like some things, but in any given situation, what sort of food should we go for tonight? Mexican would be pretty low down my list, if I'm honest. And there was an Alexi Sale gag from years ago where he went, you don't buy Mexican food, you rent it, it's just sick with cheese on it. And I think I said that in the room, and that became the thing about food. And then I remember saying we should definitely leave the bit about food in, and I was only doing that to annoy my wife because I knew we'd be watching the show that Sunday evening, and she'd go, "Oh, you bastard, you've got your bloody obsession with Mexican food in here. Why wouldn't you admit it's delicious?" But the thing that Richard said was he said it in the room in a sort of, well, he didn't say, I think he didn't say as much as he said on the show, and he said it in a sort of lighter tone, and somehow it was less, I don't know, it didn't feel as obnoxious.
Right.
And it certainly didn't, I didn't sort of think, oh dear, we're going to tone this down. I just thought, okay, well, it's all a bit, because apart from the else, after it all kicked off, and it was sort of the, basically it was stereotyping, which, fair enough, it was. And, in retrospect, we probably should have stayed away from the whole thing, but there we are. After it all kicked off, a friend of mine sent me a picture of a packet of Tesco own brand tortilla chips. And on the front at the time, it had a depiction of a man in a massive sombrero asleep under a tree. And it just went, you're not the only ones doing this. And I was like, oh, bloody hell, Tesco are doing the same thing. I mean, because if that's not stereotyping, then I don't know what is. And but the way Rich delivered it on the show, I think that's the thing. He sort of he amped it up, as they would often do. Take the bare bones of what they were going to say, but then with the adrenaline of being on stage in front of a big crowd, everything got bigger. And his delivery sort of, it got kind of angrier almost, and that made it feel quite brutal and aggressive, and it just it wasn't just a sort of light-hearted bit of poking fun. It actually sort of felt like we were into full xenophobia right now, and it wasn't very nice, and it was weird. It was just a thing on the day, and the line, the biggest irony was that Jeremy went, "Oh, the Mexican ambassador won't be watching; he'll be asleep." The Mexican ambassador was watching. He didn't normally watch. He just happened to be watching, like kind of, I'll see what all the fuss is about with this bloody show everyone's always talking about. What? But we did apologise for that, and the Mexican ambassador turned out to be a really lovely bloke, and he invited the presenters and our producer, Andy, to the Mexican ambassador's residence for a drinks reception at lunchtime. And I think Richard and Andy went, I think. Did Jeremy go as well, maybe? But Andy came back to the office afterwards and he was absolutely rat-faced. He'd just been drinking tequila all afternoon. He came back and he got his bottle. Still got it on my shelf up there. It was a really nice bottle of tequila, which he was given. And Andy came back and he went, "Do you want this? I really like tequila." And I was like, "Are you sure? Because you seem to have had quite a lot of it." But yeah, the Mexican ambassador was a lovely man and was very gracious in the end and just went, "Accept your apology, come and have a drink at my place and we'll all be friends again."
Right.
And we were. So in that way, that sort of makes me feel better about it. That he's the official envoy to the United Kingdom for Mexico. So if he says we're sort of off the hook and he's forgiven us, I hope that means that the people of Mexico have. I still don't particularly care for the food, but that's just my personal
It is weird how when I first watched that, whenever it was, I don't know how long ago that was, but I didn't really see what the fuss was about, and then I saw it again recently on YouTube. I just stumbled across it on YouTube, and it didn't bother me a lot. But then I'm not Mexican, so I don't, it I don't know if I'd changed or just like the way everything is now. It seemed.
I think there's probably a little bit of, the two are probably linked, aren't they? It makes me a bit uncomfortable now. I don't remember putting my hand up and going, "Guys, we should not do this" at the time, because it didn't seem to be that bad. And so times have changed. I mean, I can't remember when that was, but it does seem, it's one of the things that will a friend of mine, a guy who I used to work with on the show, I was talking to him about this the other week, and he went, one day, Top Gear, and not that far in the future, Top Gear will seem as dated as the black and white minstrel show, or one of those sort of 70s sitcoms that's just basically racist. And he was like, that's what will date the show, because there are things that were said and done in the programme that are rapidly becoming, where once they were sort of slightly unacceptable, but you could get away with it, they will just be seen as absolutely unacceptable. And I think that's part of the evolution of society, and I don't object to it. There's that sort of thing about political correctness gone mad.
Yeah.
And I sort of go, well, yes, but if you change the words political correctness to politeness, and it's just polite to not be nasty to people who aren't like you, then it's a bit easy to understand that there is room for political correctness, or however you want to call it, and it's just good manners. Just be nice to people.
Yeah.
And I think I didn't say that at the time, so I was guilty as anyone of being a massive hypocrite on this. But it does date the show. I do think attitudes have changed.